happened to men pursuing girls? When was the pivotal moment that a man chose to not?
All right, so go watch Emily King's video. She does a great job with videos like these, but go watch her video for her response at the end and then come back here. Also, so you can hear the story the girl's telling. But I've noticed this kind of weird trend. Now, Emily hits it on the head at the end of the video. She gets a really short version. I'm more of a long-winded person. But I've seen this trend here on TikTok more recently where there's two camps of women at this point, and it seems to have come out after the man-bear stuff, right? And there's these two camps of thought. One is a lot of these girls slash women romanticizing our parents' generation. I'm almost in my 40s. So my parents' generation and grandparents' generation is how love was just different and how men pursued and men were persistent. And you hear the stories and they're creepy. They're really creepy. So you have that camp that's like, why isn't this happening anymore? And then you have the camp like explaining why it doesn't happen anymore. If you haven't seen those, I'll give you the gist of why it's not happening anymore, which is just as Emily says, which is that, it's creepy and men would go to jail. But I don't think men should be pursuing like that. Now, this fed to another thought for me, which was I'm really starting to give cadence to the fact that, the joke that was running on TikTok that like my parents' generation and grandparents' generation were brain damaged from lead poisoning. And the reason I say that is because the women encouraged or sometimes had no choice but to participate in really creepy behaviors from men. I mean, you hear these stories and it's like, well, how did you meet? And, oh, he showed up outside my job every day for 6 months. And then I finally just said yes. And it's like, my God, that sounds awful. Or we worked together and he just always stopped by my desk and just constantly talked to me. And that sounds creepy. It sounds really creepy. Like a lot. And those are light versions. I know I've heard much worse. I've just probably blocked them out of my head. But so bad, and I see stories coming out. I wish more people would, put those out and make it aware, but it really is creepy. It really is, To give you an example, I don't, this is such a weird thing. So the age difference between my mom and my actual dad is very different. I don't remember the details exactly, but I think she was like 14 and he was around like 20, 21, something like that. Okay. Big difference. She had me when she was like 16 and he was like 22 or something, right? So the math's off, but big age difference. It was close to that. And how they met was he apparently lived in a loft type house across the street from her and could see her across the street and they got together. That sounds creepy. He was stalking her or something to the degree. It sounds bad. I mean, yeah, great. I'm here, but under what pretenses? My God, they're not together. They haven't been together for a while, but yeah, something is definitely off. And when you hear these stories of how people got together, it sounds very strange, very unsettling. So I think there was just a lot of creepy things that were allowed for a few generations that were never addressed. And we're just now starting to see women take a stand and say, no, I don't like that. That sounds creepy. Like, it's almost like men just claimed women at the time and that was it. And somehow it got this beautiful spin on it of like, oh, it was so wonderful. And no, it's not wonderful. It's creepy. So anyway, what are your thoughts? Do you have any similar stories? If you do, maybe you should consider posting that story on TikTok and talking about it and how you feel about it and what your thoughts are. I think that our generation needs to be talking about how creepy some of these things were. I think that when it comes to men and women getting along and getting with each other, I think a lot of misinformation is about there. My father personally never said anything to me about girls and how to attract women, how to get with them, nothing. I was given no advice, no information. And that means in my youth, I failed miserably, horribly, not knowing what to do. Luckily, I had friends around and I had peers that were able to kind of lead me in the right direction of how not to be a weird, creepy person. But I think that if that goes unchecked and nobody tells you, it will continue to happen. I think that's part of the reason we have so many men that are in such a dire, bad position. That or they're reinforced by the wrong thing. So anyway, again, what are your thoughts and what creepy stories do you maybe have? Or even better yet, if you're a guy and you want to come forward and talk about how you saw where it was wrong and corrected what you were doing, that'd probably be good for some goodwill out there. But anyway, yeah, interested in your stories and comments on this. What do you think?